Hello, Mr. O'Reilly's students. So here is a screencast that's going to show you how to log into Noodletools, how to do a website citation, and how to do note cards for us this week. The other citations from a database and from a book are pretty easy, and I could point those out at the end of this too. So this is the information you're going to need to be able to do the citations and note cards for us for this week, the week of November 2nd to the 6th, and then into the following week as well until you're done with me. So say goodbye to my picture, and you need to start at noodletools.com. You come over to the right-hand side, and whether you've used Noodletools in the past or have never used Noodletools before, everybody at Capital High School has an account, so everybody clicks on Login. And then if you had an account in the past, it will ask you to update your profile. Oh, hold on. I get a little ahead of myself. So once you click on Login, it's asking you to get logged in, and we always log in with Google. So just focus on this right-hand side and click Login with Google. And then once I get logged in, if you've had Noodletools coming up through the middle school, it's going to take you to a profile page where you need to change yourself from being in whatever middle school you're coming to us from and change that to Capital High School. If you haven't had Noodletools before, it's going to ask you if you want to create an account. You say yes, that you're a student, and then you click that you create the account, and it'll attach you to Capital High School, and you're good to go. The way to double check that you are set and ready to go is to come up to the upper left-hand corner and use the drop down here to go to My Profile. And when you click on My Profile, it should say that you're at Capital High School. As long as it says that, then I will be able to see your stuff and grade your stuff. So that's the first big step. Now I've saved that profile and I'm back out to the beginning, which when it first logs you in, you'll be on the Projects button. And we want to start a new project. So I'll just point out I have other projects I've done with other classes here as examples. You wouldn't necessarily have anything if you're brand new to Noodletools. Those of you coming up from middle school, you may have some stuff there. I would just keep it there for now. Let's start a new project by clicking on New Project. And then you're going to put in a title. The title is the subject that you've been doing your search on. So cell phones and education is what I'm going to put in. MLA format is the format we want to keep it on. You will play with these other formats later while you're here at Capital, but for this assignment, you're using MLA. And then citation level. Make sure you click on advanced. So starter is for elementary school, junior is for junior high, and then this is high school. So we want to have advanced. Hit submit. And now it has bumped us from the projects button over to the dashboard button. And it's on the dashboard here where you'd be putting in your research question, which you could copy paste off of your Big 6 number 2, or you can just retype it right now. When you go look at it on your Big 6 number 2, it could be that now you've done some research, you need to tweak your question. And it's still totally okay. This was a self-generated question, so you can change your question if need be. I'm going to copy paste mine in. And then we're going to ignore this thesis box. Don't worry about that. We're not going to link up a paper. So we can scroll down into the next section. And this is the sharing and collaboration section. For anyone new to Noodletools, just know that you could get a hyperlink to this project that you could put into a slideshow perhaps. So if you're giving a slideshow and your teacher says you need to have a works cited slide at the end, and sometimes getting all those citations to show up on a slide, it doesn't look nice. You could instead just put the hyperlink in there and click on it and it'll open up to your Noodletools and you could show your works cited that way. So that's a neat little feature. One thing I do need you to do right now, if you haven't yet, is to share with the project inbox. So when you click on this, you would need to start typing O'Reilly. Oops, capitalize the R. And for you, you will see drop downs for the different periods of his classes. So pick the appropriate period. It doesn't show for me because I created this inbox actually, so I can't do this part. But you will type in O'Reilly, you'll get drop downs for the different periods, click on the appropriate period, and then hit done, and you'll be fine. And then the last piece for people that are new to Noodletools is the student collaboration piece. So multiple people can be working on the project at the same time, just like with Google stuff. One person from a group, if you're doing a group project, needs to start this assignment like this, and you'd get to this point, and then you'd click on Add Students, and you'd simply type in the email address of the other people that you would like to have access to the project. And once they go back to their screen and refresh their screen, the project will show up in their projects button, and everyone can be working on the same time. Okay, so we're done with the dashboard. Now we can click on sources. So I want to create a new source for my bibliography. So I'm going to click on this green gray. So if I hover on it, it turns white, but otherwise it's a greenish gray button. Go ahead and click on new source. And it says, well, what type of source do you want to cite? You're going to create a new citation. Where are you getting the information from? First one is database, and we're not going to cite our database article yet. We'll do that later. But the next one is website. We're going to start with that one because that one's actually the hardest one. So I'm going to click on website, and then it says, well, what is it? What are you getting from this website? Most of us will be able to come down into this peach colored box and click on web page. We're just looking at one web page within a larger website. Although there could be some of us that did actually find a newspaper or magazine article that's out on that newspaper or magazine article's website. You could still use web page though for that one. There were some of us that found our .edu website, and when we clicked on it, it actually loaded to a paper, a PDF of someone's research report or the paper they wrote. Maybe it's a thesis from a college. That one you'd want to click on report, technical or research. And when you click on this one, the boxes on that one will be a little bit different than the one I'm going to give an example of today. Do your best to fill in as many boxes as possible. If you run across something you really don't know what to put and don't think it's appropriate to leave it blank, then shoot me an email and I'll help you out with that. Otherwise, yeah, there's lots of other things you could be citing off of the website. So we just want a web page within a website is what I'm going to be citing. So now it says, okay, you're citing a web page from a website. Here we go. First thing it wants is just the web address. So I'm just quickly come grab my web address. Paste that in here. That was easy. The next thing it wants is what was the date of publication of that specific article, that page. Usually that is at the top underneath what the title of that page is. So I see right here, November 21st of 2019 is the date. I'm going to plug that in. If you see an update date as well, take the most recent date that they have as an update date. If you don't see any date at all, go down to the bottom of the article, see if they have something at the end of their writing. Not all the way at the end of the website, but the end of the article. Before the comments, before any advertising that might be going on. Sometimes they'll put it down there. Sometimes they'll also have the author's name at the end. It's better formatting if they have it at the top. But with really small websites, I have seen occasions where a person could click on an About Us or Contact Us link, and then they're able to get an author of everything that's on that website. So that's another backup plan, is clicking on that About Us or Contact Us link to see if you can get any names of individuals who might be writing for this website. Do not put just the year that you see by the copyright date at the very bottom of the page. So if I come down to the bottom of my page, you'll see down here the copyright symbol and the name of the website and 2020. I don't want to just put that year. That year auto formats as soon as it is midnight on January 1st. It's going to change to 2021. So don't put that in there. Make sure it's an actual date. If you don't see a date at all, can't find it, leave it blank. We hope you can find one though. Most recent date of access, the next section. So when are you pulling the information? Well, we're going to pull it today. So we can click on the word today. and that will auto-populate for us. Okay, section 3, the web page itself. So information about this specific page. First, who is the author? Who's writing here? So we're going to use this drop down and change this to author. And we're looking for an author's name. Again, for most people, it'll be up at the top underneath the title of the specific article or the title of this specific page within this larger website. So I see my author's name is Taylor Damien. If I come back over here and get that plugged in, I'm going to skip the middle name box. Rarely do we ever see that. They may have middle initials. You could definitely put in, did I spell that right? You could put in their middle initial if they give it. Get that fixed. And then if they have like a PhD in their name because they're a doctor, you're going to put PhD in here. You're not going to put MR for Mr. or MRS for Mrs. or MS. That's not the type of suffix they're talking about. They're talking about a suffix that shows their credentials. So a PhD or a doctor would be appropriate there, DR. If you have more than one author, you would just continue to add more boxes to be able to put in the other authors by clicking on this add contributor. I'll do it right now just to show you, and I can delete it too. So I'm going to click on that, and now I have more boxes I can fill in and change that to author again and type in any other names of authors for as many as I would have. I'll delete that now. So I have my author in, and the next thing it's looking for is the title of the page, also known as the title of the article or the document. Pretty standard format for it to be the bigger bold font at the top. So I'm able to highlight that, copy that, and paste it in right here. Oops, right here. Page or document article title. Right here. Now I'm getting a little message saying up is if it's being used as a preposition. It should not be capitalized. They're capitalizing it in the article itself. I'm going to leave it. This English translation of the document, don't worry about that. All of the websites we're looking at are coming to us in English, so we can ignore that. If for some reason you can't find a title of that page, a title of the document, you get to give it one. You get to click this untitled box, and you are going to provide a description of what is on that page instead. You're going to give it a title. So every single person has this box filled in. This is a must-be filled in box. The next section down about the website, the little red asterisk next to it means that you have to have this one filled in as well for it to save. This is a must-be filled in box as well. So what is the name of your website? Well, that should be pretty obvious. Usually at the top of a website you'll see it, but oftentimes it's hyperlinked, so you can't just copy paste this. But if you're looking for a chance to copy paste rather than type things in, if you go down to the very bottom of the page, oftentimes by the copyright symbol itself, I'm at the bottom of the lower left hand or lower right hand corner of my screen right now, little copyright symbol, I can often copy from there if that is the actual name of the website. So I'm going to paste that in here. The last box we need to try to fill in would be the publisher of the site. Now I'm going to head back to that bottom of the website. If I saw that the title of this website is Adelphi University, but I came down to the bottom here and I see something else's name, like Pew Research Center or University of New York, or if there was something else in this copyright that doesn't match what I put in as the name of the website, that's the publisher. So whoever's name is down here is the publisher. Because I already used the name in the publisher box, though, it is redundant and unnecessary to put the exact same thing in the publisher box. So I am allowed to leave the publisher box blank because the name of the website is what is copyrighted at the bottom, and there is not an additional entity that I need to give credit to in the citation. I'm already giving credit to them by having them in this box right here. So I do not need to be redundant or duplicate that. If you see a different name down there, for example, on Wikipedia's page, if you go down to the copyright symbol on the bottom of a Wikipedia page, you'll see it's Wikimedia Foundation or organization or something. which means it's a conglomeration. It's more than just Wikipedia. There's some other entity that is working to provide funding and making sure it stays up and running. So we would want to put that Wikimedia Foundation name in here since it is different than the name of the website, even by a little bit, but it is different. Okay, that's all we need to click save at the bottom or at the top. We don't need to add any of the editor stuff. You don't need to click around for that. You don't need to click around for the edition, version, revision. You're not going to see it clearly, easily. And we will come back and do an annotation later. So when you're ready, go ahead and click the save button, and voila, you will have your first citation done. Yippee! But we're not done yet. So we have our first citation done. Now we're ready to go do note cards. So this now is the point at which we are starting the next piece, doing note cards. Even though they have a button for note cards, please do not click there. Instead, always add note cards from the sources area by clicking on new note card right here. I do that because on the next page, notice that the source box is filled in for me already. If I were to do it up in the note cards button, you can barely see it right behind this open note card, but if I were to click there, this box doesn't get pre-filled in. And that gets to be a bit of a pain once you get more than 3 or 4 note cards going. You need to go ahead and open note cards through the sources button so this work is already done for you. As far as the title, don't worry about the title yet. We're going to come back to the title after we get the quotation in here. So this is where the rubber hits the road. I actually really need to read and find a good chunk of information that I would like to take as a quotation from this source. So I'm reading through here, and this is an article about a professor who asked students to volunteer and give up their cell phones for a week and see what it was like for them. And this quotation of this girl, I think, could be interesting. It's a first-hand account. It's a primary source of her talking about her experience of what it was like to go through that. So I'm going to copy this entire quotation. Now, this is a quotation within this article. If I wanted to pull something else that didn't have quotation marks around it, too, I could do that too. I could pull from starting right here if I wanted to. Maybe I'll use that one instead. Copy that. So I simply am going to paste that piece of information in there. And because I'm pulling it from the source, it has become a direct quotation. Doesn't matter whether it's a piece of information that has quotation marks, has any sort of primary source material in it, quotation marks here. I'm going to add quotation marks around it. And here's what I do. Watch carefully. So I'm adding one quotation mark there to show that this is where the quotation is starting, that I've pulled. Now, because there are interior quotes in this one becomes a single apostrophe. This one also becomes a single apostrophe. This one becomes a single apostrophe. And then out here, where it's the end of not only the doctor's words, Dr. Freitas' words, as well as the end of where I am pulling the information from, I'm going to add the single apostrophe to show the end of the doctor's words, but the regular quotation mark now becomes the end of the quote as a whole, as I've pulled it from the source and put it into this note card, and what you will then copy and paste into your paper. All right, so anytime you have quotes within a quote is what they call it, so that we had some quotes that were within a larger quote that we pulled, those inside quotes become single apostrophes just to show where it starts and stops. So let me read this one out loud. It says, what does Dr. Freitas hope her students to consider after the experiment? I really want them to feel more in control of their usage, she said. I want them to become users of their phones as opposed to feeling used by their phones. Wonderful. Now that I've read that, how can I put that into my own words over here in the paraphrase box? I might need to read it to myself a couple of times. What I do not want to do is use her words directly. Now, there may be a word or two. I could use the word, say, experiment again if I wanted to. I'll probably use the word phone. But I will not just take her sentence and just change a couple words. That's not paraphrasing. That's plagiarizing. So let me see here. Okay, I think that's a good paraphrase of this. And I do not have quotation marks at all because it's a paraphrase. But I do need to add something else to the end of this one as well as the end of the quotation. And I can start on either side. It doesn't matter because it's going to be the exact same thing. And that is the in-text citation. I have to give credit back to the source right now so that it's ready to go into my paper later. So if I come back over here to the direct quotation, I'm going to put my cursor here. I'm going to put a space, and then I'm going to go Shift 9 to get my first parentheses. And next I'm going to look up to this source box. And I'm going to take whatever comes first here in the source box. So it's the author's last name since I have an author. So I get lucky there. That's pretty easy. Then do Shift 0 to get the end parentheses. And then I do need to put a period on the outside of this to show this is the end of my sentence. And when I do that, here's another little tricky thing, is I get rid of the period on the inside. I got rid of my single. I need to add that. Okay, get rid of the space there too. Now that I have this, I can copy paste that over to this. And again, I would get rid of the period and add my in-text citation. So this is called in-text citation. It's also called parenthetical citation because we're using parentheses. It's the citation within the parentheses, parenthetical citation. At this point, the quote or paraphrase is ready to be put into your paper. And that was the goal, is to have everything ready to go right to your paper. You technically are writing your paper right now. Like by pulling very good quotes and taking the time to paraphrase them nicely, you're getting ready to write your paper. This is going to be easy copy paste when it comes to putting your paper together. To further that, we require the My Ideas section, your original thinking here. As you can see kind of behind it, it says, what does this fit with what you know? What do you wonder? What can you follow up on? Or I like to say, so what? Like, what was the aha you were having when you read through that article and thought, that's a good chunk of information. I need that. Why? What were you thinking in your head as to why you could use that? That's what you put here, and it should be in using complete sentences, not incomplete sentences. Use complete sentences when you put your thinking down here. So this is important because, or I can start the sentence with this proves that, oops, this one, this professor took the time to create a real life challenge which woke her students up or made them realize that their phones had way more control of their lives than they needed to allow. That could be my aha. Literally, when I go write my paper, think about your body paragraph. You're going to start with a topic sentence, right? And after you have a topic sentence, you get into a concrete detail, a specific thing that helps prove your topic sentence. So that's your quotation. So you'd have your topic sentence, copy paste over your direct quotation. After you have direct quotations, you have to have commentary, right? Your thoughts about why that quotation was important. So then you come down here and copy paste from your My Ideas into your paper. You are writing your paper right now. So take the time with your My Ideas. Take the time to pull really good quotations. Take the time to put in the in-text citation. So literally, you can just copy paste next week when it comes time to write the paper. Okay, I have one note card done now. I can come up and hit save and close. Oops, I forgot one thing. One thing. I need to edit this note card now. Okay, so I see it sitting here. I see show and I see new. If I click on show, the note card shows up underneath the citation, which is super helpful. If I need to edit this, which I just said, oops, I need to edit this, I'm going to come to the blue options and now hit edit, and it will come back to what I was just looking at it. And what I forgot to do was give it a title. If I take the time to give it a title, it'll be easier for me to find this again. What was this quotation about, really? If I can get it into just a couple keywords. I like the idea that she has at the end of her quotation here. And so users of phones versus being used is what I'm going to put. I like that idea too. So that is my note card. Again, I can save and close. And again, it shows up here now updated with the title right here. And I could delete it if I wanted to. I could print it off. If I don't want to see the note cards showing up underneath, I can click hide. Once I have multiple note cards, right up here, I can click on show or hide note cards, and it'll do all of them at one time or take all of them away. When I'm ready to do another note card from the source, from the same source, I'm just going to click new note card here again, and I'll just quickly do another one for you, and then I'll be done. So if you want to see another one, stick around. Again, I'm ignoring the title until I actually find the quotation. I come back to the article. What else? This student, originally I didn't think I was addicted to my phone, but this class made me realize how much I really am. I'm going to grab this. I'll grab all of this and paste it right into the direct quotation. Now I need to do that little bit of tweaking to make sure it's formatted correctly. This one starts with some quotation marks around it as a first person quote. I need to add in the singleton. So I have quotation mark. I'm going to add one more parenthesis, or not parentheses, but apostrophe to show where this girl's words are starting. And then I'm going to change this interior one to a single. Keep coming across here, change this one to a single, and then add a single here. So essentially what I've done is the double quotation marks, the two lines next to each other, those only go at the very beginning and end. right? And then if you have any other quotation marks that show up from the source, they become the single apostrophes to show where someone was talking. But this is the formatting. It's funny MLA rules, but it's something you do need to be aware of. The next thing I could do now if I wanted to, or I could wait till after my paraphrase, but I could go ahead and do the in-text citation. So Shift 9, looking at the author's last name here. And then moving my period to the outside because that's the end of my sentence now, and getting rid of this inside period. This one is ready to go now. If I didn't have an author's name, the first thing that's going to show up is going to be the title of the article. So just for the sake of what that could look like, if I didn't have an author's name, what that would look like for in-text citation would be parentheses, quotation mark, just as it is up here. Freshmen give up cell phones. Now I could include the entire title if I'd like to. If it gets to be a really long title, you are allowed to truncate it or cut it back to the chunk that makes sense. So this is the chunk that makes sense. End quotation mark, in parentheses, period. So this is what it would be if I did not have an author's name. The next thing that shows up in the citation is the title of the article, title of the page, and so that's what's going to end up in parentheses at the end right here if I don't have an author's name. Okay, get rid of that real quick. In my own words, what is she saying? Well, screen time, that right. Okay, so here is my paraphrase of this source. I can simply come over here and copy paste over the in-text or parenthetical citation. I get rid of my period. Oops. And then I'm ready to put in my ideas. Again, some starters for this. However you want to start your ideas, it's your voice. Again, you are going to be putting this into your paper. So whatever your brain says to start it with, go for it. It's you talking as if you're writing your paper. It doesn't have to start with one of these starters, whatever makes sense in your head. So you could also reread the quotation and then come back and do your my ideas after that. One more time, you'd be putting this into a body paragraph. So you'd have your topic sentence for your body paragraph, and then you'd come have a quotation, and then you'd probably come over to the my ideas, or you'd start your body paragraph with topic sentence, and then you could go to your paraphrase and then come down to my ideas. So we're writing our actual paper right now as part of writing these note cards. With that being said, that's how you do your citations for a website and how you would go about creating note cards. If you have any other questions or want me to individually walk you through things, I'm more than happy to do that. You can reach out to me. We can set up Zoom sessions with Mr. O'Reilly and come in during office hour times that he has on Wednesdays. please don't hesitate to ask for help. This is a big thing to do, especially during COVID times, but we want to still push through on this because it's such an important piece that can support all of your classes at Capital whenever you're asked to write any papers. All right, have a good day, folks. Talk soon.